It is the off season during a lockout, and I never thought I would be talking about Jon Singleton on this podcast. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? He is trying to make a comeback in baseball. No, not with the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros did not want him back, but he's trying to make a comeback. He's been playing in Mexico. So who's he trying to come back with? We'll talk about that. Who did the Astros take in the MILB Rule 5 draft? We'll talk about that. And Jon Heyman, he sure loves his Carlos Correa. We'll talk a little bit about who he thinks Carlos Correa is going to sign with once this whole lockout debacle is done. Listen to this and more on today's edition of the Locked On Astros podcast.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. So Brett's actually he's coaching a team, and he wasn't going to get back till late. He's coaching his school's girls basketball team, so he wasn't going to get back till late. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the solo podcast tonight. But yeah, I'm excited about something to talk about. And yes, it's the off season during a lockout when you get excited about Jon Singleton. And the Astros had just finished. I believe that he had just finished. The Astros had just finished paying his deal. They were still paying him $250,000 for this for the past at least 2 seasons. So the Astros are finally free of him. And so now he's free to sign with another team. I think he was free to sign with another team anyway, but he's 30 years old. He's looking to make a comeback, and he signed a minor league deal with the Brewers. He does not have an invitation to spring training, but he's looking to make a comeback. So this dude has played let's just talk about this. He has played in 114 major league games. He has made a career $10.5 million. Congratulations, Jon Singleton. You duped the Houston Astros. But with a player like this, you're gonna take a risk like this. He had so much upside. This was a guy that we got in a trade. I believe it was the Hunter Pence trade, if I remember correctly. And you're gonna risk a guy. I think we got him and Cozart from the Phillies, and he had so much upside. And he battled with inconsistency. I remember that he got really bulked up that one offseason, and he just never really blossomed. He was one of those top prospects that just never really blossomed. So Jon Singleton is trying to make a comeback with the Brewers. I really wish the dude success. I mean, the guy was supposed to be a can't miss prospect, and I really hate the way that his career ended. But he didn't have a future with the Astros. So speaking of that, Tyler White is also trying to make a comeback with the Brewers as well. So it's like the Brewers are like, hey, if you're a former Astros player and you don't have a major league deal, come on, we'll sign you. So Tyler White, Jon Singleton are going to Milwaukee. So we'll see what happens in this situation too. So this is kind of a weird situation with just Singleton, just after having not played Major League Baseball since he was released off the 40-man roster in 2018. And also his last time he actually played in the major leagues was 2015 with the Astros. And he played 10 games as a first baseman, 3 games as a DH. So it's been quite a while since he's actually played. So we'll have to see what happens with his career, but good luck to him. but I don't really want to waste too much more time with that. So the Astros have a loaded roster right now. It currently sits at 39 players. I know that the Justin Verlander deal is not official, so that's potentially why you had Andre Scrub option down to AAA. So we'll see what happens. So thank you, Christy. She said she loves the Jeff Bagwell picture hanging behind me. So yeah, that's a situation where I'm just glad to see that. So AJ, oh, if AJ if AJ Hinch went to the Brewers, that would be a trifecta. Jay Roberts said, but I don't really think that's a situation. So Astro World Craig said, "Well, what if Evan Gaddis goes?" I think Evan Gaddis is done with baseball. From what I understand, he's enjoying retirement. So I don't see Evan Gaddis going back to baseball. So I think that's all the former Astros that may be going there. But I do know that Josh Reddick is trying to make a comeback. He's playing in the Dominican League, if I'm the Winter League, if I remember correctly. So he doesn't like the way the 2021 season went for him. So he's trying to open some eyes and make a comeback next year, and hopefully some team will open up to him. So we'll see right here. So I know a lot of people, some AJ Reed, yeah. AJ Reed was one of those guys that was a can't miss prospect. He was a former pitcher that the Astros saw as a left-handed hitter, slugger, and he looked pretty good as a minor league hitter, but he just never could put it together. So that's the problem with hoarding a lot of prospects is they're just prospects. They don't always pan out. Kyle Tucker, a lot of people were like, well, you should have traded him. You should have traded him for JT Realmuto. You should have traded him for Carlos Stanton. You should have traded him for blah, blah, blah. But now, aren't you glad you held on to Kyle Tucker? Because Kyle Tucker could be the next MVP for the Houston Astros. Because if it wasn't for a bad April where he just hit into a lot of bad luck, he could have had a lot of talk for being a potential MVP talk. So don't bet. I mean, don't really take too much away from what. I mean, the prospects, you can't really always bet on them. That's what I'm trying to say. And so speaking of that, let's talk about Built Bar. I know that Thanksgiving is gone, but it's still the holiday season. Grab the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar, or even better than a candy bar. Built Bar, it's filled with the holiday goodness, rich with a decadent flavor, covered in chocolate, but amazingly low in calories, sugar, net carbs, and fat, and high in protein. You get the best of both worlds, delicious and healthy. So many flavors, you have a hard time choosing. We have raspberry or mint brownie, cherry or double chocolate, cookies and cream or peanut butter brownie. Built Bar gives you all the extra fuel you need to bust down those mall doors and battle all the holiday shoppers. I still need to go out there, so maybe I need to grab a Built Bar. So throw on your jacket and purse and go out there and get the shopping done, because the season of peace and love, don't bring up your favorite Built Bar or flavor at your family parties. People are so passionate about their favorite flavor, they'll fight for it, and things could get ugly. Are you friends with Santa? Well, tell Santa to throw in a few Built Bars in those stockings. With your so many flavors, they make anybody's Christmas mornings a happy one. Like some of those marshmallow treats around the holidays, you need to get your hands on the Built Bar Puffs. They're light and fluffy and marshmallowy through and through. Different flavors, all covered in chocolate, taste so good you won't believe that they're filled with protein. Go to builtbar.com, use our promo code LOCK15, and get 15% off your order. And speaking of which, if you're still trying to figure out what to get that special person in your life, or just like your dad or anybody, why don't you try Stance? Stance just has all the great apparel that you probably wear that you don't even realize it. So it's worth it's active apparel. It's just stuff that you want to wear. It's founded in 2009. It represents the radical reinvention of socks, underwear, and active apparel, with a sharp focus on comfort, quality, and creativity. Stance brings a atypical aesthetic alongside a sharp focus on alongside some of the pop culture's hottest collaborators from some of the ultimate in style and self-expression. Because everything thing you wear should be a direct expression of who you are, even on your underwear. So, what are your favorite designs? I mean, my favorite designs probably be Batman. Wouldn't you like to wear Batman? Star Wars on your socks, on your underwear. The Office. Wouldn't you like Dwight on your underwear? Harry Potter, Disney. Like, it's very comfortable. It just makes you just want to go out and get some more. So, Stance believes that the perfect fit matters more than fitting in. So that's that those who feel good do good. So go see for yourself, register for an account at stance.com and get 15% off your first purchase. Use the promo code locked on at checkout to apply. Enjoy the comfort and the color and comfort of life less ordinary with Stance. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and talk about the Rule 5 draft. Not the big league one, because of course with the lockout, we can't really talk about that. You can't talk about Fight Club, but we can talk about Ronnie Dawson. Yes, that Ronnie Dawson, this is a guy that the Astros drafted with a high pick. Let's see, let me pull him up. I believe it was a second round pick in the 2016 draft out of Ohio State University. This is a guy who made a small cup of tea with the Houston Astros. He played in 3 games. He batted 200, has a 533 OPS. But that was because of the COVID reasons. And I think, if I remember correctly, he was able to get onto the 40-man roster because of somebody was on the health and safety protocol. So that's why he was added to the 40-man roster. So Ronnie Dawson had a great career with the Houston Astros in the minor league system. I know he batted 247 with a 744 OPS. He showed some pop. He showed some speed. But the Astros just didn't really have a lot of room for him in the, I guess, right now, because you had Chas McCormick, you had Jose Siri, you have a lot of up-and-coming people. So he is going to the Reds, so in the minor league portion of this. So he has to stay up with the AAA team for the entire season. And the Astros also lost a couple other people. They lost Manny Ramirez. No, not that Manny Ramirez, but right-handed pitcher Manny Ramirez, who was the Astros top 30 prospect a few years ago. But they also selected somebody, and I can already hear what people are going to say. People will be like, ooh, this isn't going to be your new Robel Garcia guy. The Astros selected in the minor league Rule 5 draft, Ruben Garcia. So he is 25 years old. He was drafted by the Baltimore Orioles in the 14th round of the 2016 draft from Eastern Florida State. He is a right-handed pitcher. So overall, his career, he's 4-8 with a 3.96 ERA. He has 167 strikeouts and 134 innings. So he does strike out a lot. He has a 1.358 whip. So this is somebody who the Astros are probably looking at like, okay, this is somebody we can put a AAA, and if we need some relief help down the road, then this is somebody that they can do. So anyway, so this is definitely something just to kind of talk about in a way. So nothing big. I mean, the Astros, I think, lost one or two other players, but no big names. But you're not going to lose one of your big names in the minor league Rule 5 draft. Now, the big names that you could lose in the Rule 5 draft, we'll have to wait on that until after the lockout, if they even have that. I'm sure they'll still have that because you still have these players who are not protected, and you have the teams that want to claim them. So that's just something to kind of talk about. So overall, I don't want to spend too much time on that, but it's just something to talk about, during the situation. So guys, if y'all have any questions for the show, I am going to briefly, I know y'all probably tired of this Carlos Correa talk, but I do want to kind of briefly talk about what Jon Heyman had to say about Carlos Correa, and then we'll talk about that. So I have no idea why Garcia spent time on the restricted list. So I haven't really looked that deep into him yet, but we'll have to see what's going on with that. But I just know that he's He's somebody that the Astros are looking at just maybe as a bullpen relief type of player. So, um, but not for the near future because they do have a lot of arms in the near future. So, Jon Heyman, he sure seems to love Carlos Correa. He's sure even during the lockout, he's like, okay, I think I know who Carlos Correa is going to sign with. He's either going to sign with the Dodgers or he's going to sign with the Astros. Those are the two teams. Okay. Depending on who you talk to, from some people I've talked to, he's absolutely not going to sign with the Dodgers. The Dodgers would not sign Carlos Correa. The face of, well, I don't know if he's the face of the cheating, but he was the one that defended everything. Wouldn't that be kind of something that's like, would that be something the Dodgers would be willing to do? Would you put him next to Bellinger? Would you put him next to all the players who were on that team? I don't know how many players were left from that 2017 roster. I don't know if Justin Turner's still there. Clayton Kershaw, he's a free agent. Will he still be there? So how many players will still be there? But Carlos Correa may be a good fit there. I know they have Trey Turner there, but you can move Turner to second base. You can have Correa at shortstop. You can manipulate him, and I know that Correa has also offered to play third base, but at the same point, how much of a distraction would that be? I mean, you have Joe Kelly, you have a freaking mural at in LA somewhere of Joe Kelly doing the whole nice swing, you know what, for Carlos Correa, and then you go out and sign him. So you boo him, you cheer somebody, basically just calling him a B, and then you're like, oh yeah, let's go sign him. Let's go sign him. Isn't that being a hypocrite? Or is that just like anything to make your team better? It just, you look the blind eye. He's a cheater. He's a cheater. But then, oh wait, he can sign with us? Okay, let's go get him. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. I think that the Correa has backed himself in the corner. I think a lot of teams are kind of hesitant with the back. So I think that depending on what happens with the CBA, if the luxury tax threshold rises a little bit, I think the Astros will be able to afford him. But at the same times, how much are they going to be willing to throw at him? How many years? I don't think the AAV is what the Astros are worried about. I think it's how long. If he really wants 10 years, are the Astros going to go all Corey Seager for Carlos Correa? I don't know if they're going to do that, and I don't know if I would even bet on that. And Bet Online is a good way to kind of look at that. I haven't even checked recently. What's the odds of Carlos Correa signing with the Astros, signing with the Dodgers? That would be a good place to go look. Bet Online has you covered with all season with more props, odds, and lines more than ever before as the football season continues to march to the playoffs. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the sports action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus as your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, NHL, boxing, UFC, who signs Carlos Correa, right to your famous Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, it's where the game begins. And by the way, guys, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, keep on subscribing, keep on liking podcasts, and keep on listening on your way to work, on your way home from work, at work. Just hide underneath your desk and just listen to the podcast while nobody's looking. Nobody will know. It's our little secret. Okay. So guys, let's go ahead and I'm going to go in for the rest of the show. I'm going to go ahead and direct the conversation to y'all. Y'all can ask me some questions. I'll go ahead and do this, and we'll go ahead and direct the show the rest of this. So somebody says we should, Jonathan Game says we should have a Locked On Astros Discord server. I mean, I know what Discord is, and I guess we can have some questions like I'm guessing that's where we can have a little bit of interaction. We do have a we could do that, I guess. But we also have a Facebook group that y'all can join as well. But I'll talk to Brett, and we can possibly do a Discord server. And so we do have a Twitch stream. I don't know if anybody understands Twitch. I don't really understand it, but if you want to subscribe over there, we do stream it sometimes over there as well. So Samuel says that the Correa would be a good fit with the Dodgers. Okay, I do agree with that, but at the same time, it goes back to the fans. And then Brian James says, Jim Crane, please resign Correa or sign Trevor Story. So that kind of goes back to a different story. If Correa is gone, how much money are you willing to throw at Trevor Story? He has he doesn't have the injury history to say like Carlos Correa does, but he does have the home road splits that kind of scares you. I know playing at Minute Maid Park, some would say that it does play. It would play in his favor. I know that I read the stats in the last podcast where he's actually played really well. It's small sample size, so I'm not going to really read too much into it at Minute Maid Park because he's only played. I want to say it was like less than 14 games, if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But Trevor Story is somebody that is intriguing. But at the same time, I think Jimmy Astro's Future came on and he said, well, if you look at what his OPS is and everything that he could give you defensively with his speed, that's the same thing that Jeremy Pena can give you. So why throw 21 to 25 million at Trevor Story when Jeremy Pena can maybe not do that the first year, but with some growing pains in his first year, maybe the second year, do that. But I think the Astros may be more wanting to get that sure thing in Trevor Story. So, and then if Jeremy Pena is ready later on in the year, you can always move him to, let's say you don't have somebody ready in center field or Chaz McCormick's not panning out, then you can move Pena out to center field. You can maybe even, I think Story was interested in maybe moving to the outfield or something. So that's something that you could do. So, yeah, so somebody, Justin Thomas said, you heard about Bregman working out at shortstop. Thoughts on that? So Jimmy and Brett and I talked about that on the last podcast, and I believe the quote was, "I am working out at shortstop. I'm I haven't been asked to do that yet, but what I'm doing is I'm getting ready in case I am asked to play shortstop because I know it's a different position. I have to be more athletic. So I'm trying to, if I'm asked to play shortstop at a regular basis, I want to be ready to play at an all-star level." So that's what basically Bregman said. So basically, that was said on the Michael Schwab podcast. So it was something he alluded to that. So, but he wants Bregman, he wants Correa to resign. I think everybody wants Correa to resign, but the problem with Correa resigning, and I know I'm going to hear it from Alex. He's going to be like, "Oh, here's Eric. He wants to sign Trevor Story and not sign Carlos Correa." The problem with signing Carlos Correa is the fact that you're going to tie up 30 to 32 million, 35 million for 10 years. Just imagine what that money could be used for. Starting pitcher, a closer. 5 years from now, when the Astros are still in competition, you can use that money. When you could be paying Jeremy Pena, Pedro Leon, somebody else to play shortstop for the cheap. So a lot of people could point at what the Rays are doing. The Rays are reason why they've been successful is that they haven't been paying the big talent, the big bucks. They've been kind of doing playing the small market team, but with good players. So that's something that I think James Click is looking at, but he has this big, massive salary. Like like his owner is like, no, you can go all the way up here. So he's not limiting like the Rays owner is. So I think what James Click is trying to do is trying to find a happy medium between being a team like the Yankees that overspends and being a Rays that underspends. So he's trying to find a happy medium. And that's why you heard Crane basically say, yeah, we're always going to be right around the luxury tax threshold because that's where we want to be. We don't want to be over. We don't want to be way under, because if we're way under, then y'all are going to say we didn't do enough. So anyway, so let me see what else y'all want to talk about. So um, Adam says that Trevor Story not be worth the money he'll command. Yes, I would say. Some people would say that, but I think that his speed and what he can do offensively would maybe be worth it. Yes, Mr. Corona, you can offer suggestions to do this. It's so since Correa has priced himself out of town, Bregman is our best bet. I know Bregman said that, but the problem is that Click basically said that we're not looking to have Bregman be the answer at shortstop. They like his defense at third base. And I know that Bregman's trying to do this, but are the Astros wanting to do this? They saw a season where Bregman had a hard time staying healthy. And Adam says, go ahead and move Gurriel to third base. Gurriel is 37 years old. I'm not saying he can't. I know he was a former third baseman, and he's a pretty good third baseman, but he is 37 years old, and he does play a good first base. So it's you're weakening first base. Well, I know first base is not the most important position, but you can ask the Braves. I know it didn't really hurt them in the playoffs when they had what's his face playing first base, but it's just a situation where not the Braves. It was the Red Sox who had somebody playing first base who wasn't really there. So there's just a lot of decisions to make, James Click. And the good thing is, and I know Brett said on the Astro Locked On Astros Twitter handle, well, it's nice that y'all can interview Joe Espada for manager, but you can't talk to players and all that during the lockout. Well, managers are not players. Okay, they're allowed to do that because they need to. They don't want to wait, because just because players are locked out doesn't mean the manager is locked out. So if teams wait to get Joe Espada could be long gone by the time the lockout's over. So that's why the Mets are going all out for their 6 candidates. And I think Espada was already interviewed. I think Osmus is one of them that's being interviewed. And I think the A's are looking at Espada as well. So my question is for I see in the future that, and for a future show, who do y'all think that if, let's say, Espada leaves, who would be the Astros' next option for bench coach? That'll be a good question that we can address on the next podcast, or a podcast next week. So I think that the Astros are looking for they're not desperate. They can win with the team they have. Would they love to have Carlos Correa back? Sure. Every team would love to have Carlos Correa back. Some teams chose to go Corey Seager. Some teams chose to go Javier Baez. My thing about Baez is, the Astros could have probably gone with Baez. They could have afforded that deal. But that means maybe he just wanted to go play in Detroit. Or maybe the Astros just had no interest in Baez, maybe because of personality, anything like that. So Adam says Maldonado, the next bench coach. I mean, that makes sense. Something I don't see. I know I've heard the Carlos Beltran. A lot of people saying Carlos Beltran should be the next Mets manager. This is not Boston. They're not going to bring Beltran back. Beltran never managed a game for the Mets. There's no loyalty there. So I don't see Beltran going back to the Mets. And there's no history of him being a manager. So I don't know. And I don't see him coming back to be a bench coach for the Astros as well. So I think that his time in Houston has come and gone. So Mr. Corona says maybe Mickey Story, the AAA manager. That could be an option, but at the same time, he's been really good at handling the AAA talent. So yeah, that's a good thing. So So Ms. Corona said, "See what I mean, Eric? People are taking comment Bregman made as he's definitely the starting shortstop for 2022." Yes, I understand that people are seeing that, but you got to look behind it and just understand that Bregman can say he wants to become the Pope. And just because Bregman says, I want to become the Pope, that doesn't mean that the Catholic Church is going to say, okay, Bregman, you're the new Pope. Go for it. Okay. So that's just not how it works. So it's there's a lot of work moving parts. So all he can do is go in and yeah, like Adam says he's ready if needed. And so that's basically what I'm trying to say. Bregman is just saying he's ready to go in. So Jay Roberts brings up a good point. If Marwin Gonzalez is done with his playing career, how about Marwin Gonzalez as bench coach? I think that Marwin Gonzalez is kind of I think that Marwin Gonzalez is just a little bit. I think he still wants to play. I think that he still has the juices. I think he's young enough to continue playing. So I don't think Marwin Gonzalez is ready to hang it up. Now, could he be a player coach? That would be interesting. I think the guys would respect him. I mean, you saw the team reach out to him and say, "Hey, we want you back." Now, did he play a lot towards the end of the season? No. Did he make he did make the playoff roster, but did he play a lot? A lot? No. So it's just a matter of how much does he really have left, and how much was he really aided during the 2017 season. So anyway, so we talked about a lot, and guys, thank you for the interaction on this podcast. I really appreciated it. So we talked about the Rule 5 minor league draft. We talked about Correa and maybe the Dodgers, maybe the Astros. We talked about Jon Singleton finally trying to make a comeback with the Brewers. Tyler White is making a comeback. So if you missed part of the podcast, make sure you go back and listen to the whole podcast on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to us. And Brett and I will be back on Monday with another podcast. Go Astros, and have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.